Hey, everyone. It is J&A today. Are you excited?
JNA. Speaking of excitement, Josie just talked at me for 10 minutes of all the things that she's excited about. And then she presses play. She's like, I'm just so excited.
So excited. Life is so good, huh?
So good.
It is so important to remind ourselves of how life is precious.
Really is. And just waking up every day with our breath.
Yes, I always say that. I've been really approaching life in this way. It's like it's effort every day. You have to like remind yourself. Just yesterday, I had like two, like, I want to say hard conversations where I spoke to two different people about people they've lost. So people in their lives have died. And it was like, how was that? And like, it's like not recent, but like, I talked to the first one and her story was so sad. While she's talking to me, I'm just crying. Okay. And she's like, I'm so sorry. I didn't want to make you cry this morning. And I'm like, it's okay. It's a very sad story, but it's your story. And thank you so much for sharing with me. It's just, I can't, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like hard to like not feel these emotions. She wasn't crying because she was sharing her story, but I just like couldn't stop. It was just like, and I'm like, And she's like, oh my God. But I'm like, oh, ma, ça vient toucher. I mean, it's sad. So then I was talking to this other girl about that story. And then she started to talk about her own story about someone that she lost as well. And I was like, man, these were like heavy conversations. However, so important. So important. They like open up a door of seeing things differently. And then you're more like, like yesterday, definitely gave an extra hug to my mom. Really love you. Thank you so much. Like, if you don't have those stories, if you push them away, you never have those like moments of like, shit, I could have like given more love, more patience, more, to the people that you love.
It gives you perspective a little bit.
Yes. And I think it's so important. Perspective is so important. I think like being grateful, gratitude, you need to have those hard conversations that are not fun, but they are life. Like we are all dying like one day. And I think that like, it's like, oh my God, let's not talk about it. But I'm like, but it's like it's actually like something as simple as like we all sleep, we all eat, we all like, and we talk about all these things. I think it's important that we like mention it and be honest and cry when it's sad, but also like she like turned things around. She's like, oh, well, we told ourselves this. And I'm like, what a great perspective.
I am shocked that you want to talk about this. I'm shocked that you feel like we need to talk more about this.
Death.
Talking. Why are we not talking about that? Let's just talk about it. Why are we not talking about it?
I don't like elephants in the room. And sometimes I'm like, but it's so obvious. Like, why would we not, why does it? And they're like, well, it's awkward. Why? Why does it have to be awkward? It doesn't have to be awkward. Society has made it awkward. Our culture has made it awkward.
Oh, so we're going to talk about it and then we're going to reflect on it.
Yes. And then we're going to implement changes. We talked about that yesterday in our team meeting, actually, that there are two skills for you to actually change your life and to actually get success. And it's not just learning more, getting more self-awareness. It's how are we implementing this data? How are we implementing this new information or this new almost knowledge and like perspective? You have this new perspective. Are you going to do anything with it? And sometimes we do, and sometimes we don't, which is quite interesting in itself. Like, why do certain humans choose to make changes after they learn or after they go through a certain experience and others do not?
So true, because there's, I was having a conversation with someone about her spouse who went through some like health concerns. And, as soon as he went through them, he was like, Kate, this is it. Like, I'm going to walk and eat vegetables. And then, a couple months go by and it's just back to the regular routine. Yeah. Whereas someone else could have had that health concern and that was like what they needed to kind of flick the switch.
Yeah. Yes. And that's the whole conversation of like wanting, desires, what we think we have access to, beliefs. Like it's like but like, I think the first step is self-awareness of like, why am I choosing this? Like, why am I choosing to live this way or to worry about this or to be, anxious about that? And guys, like, there's so many examples of things that like, I've like really believed in. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, like, that's not how I live at, like, I can't believe that I do that now, or that that I've done that. Or so there's so many opportunities every single day to try something, like experience something different. And it can be like comfortably uncomfortable or uncomfortably comfortable. But just grab onto those opportunities. And curiosity is your body's way or your mind's way to be like, if you're curious about something, that's your intuition saying like, you should try it. You should try a version of it that makes you feel comfortable, you know? So grab onto curiosity is my message right now.
What is this podcast about? I mean, this is great, but what are we gonna, I can do this all day.
All day, guys. We haven't recorded a podcast together in a long time. We've done a few trips, and we've had fun, and we've worked hard. We actually also did like the tour since then. I'm pretty sure they even
we did the show.
We did the show. Let's talk about the show a little bit. But this podcast is about speaking to your children about their weight, and how about speaking their doctors. Would you allow the doctor, to your family doctor, the pediatrician, whatever, to speak to your child about their weight? So that is our topic today, everyone. So if you want to,
heavy one, that's a heavy one. Let's go back to the show.
Okay, yes. The show was incredible. The show was everything I wanted it to be. I am so excited for next year already. It's October 5th next year, and we're actually going to start selling our tickets quite earlier than we typically do. So just stay tuned, everyone.
And just want to say thank you to anyone that came, supported us. We appreciate it so much. You know, I always have a moment where I kind of look out in that room and I'm like, these women came to see us, having the best night out. And I'm so grateful.
I'm so grateful as well. And I think that people need to understand that, well, for me, posture, it's like that's an extension of Jose's personality and love for the stage and the lights, and just like that night for me is like everything. Like, and so this is my thing, you guys. Okay, when I'm 40, so in 2026 is the year I turn 40, I just do more of those things. That year, I just go out of my way to do more of that, because like there is not, like, you don't even know how my heart feels when I'm like there and people are singing and laughing and crying and like that. Just a room full of women. Fucking love rooms full of women. I just think that women are amazing. Like, yes, I have this connection with women. And I'm like, yes, let's do this.
You have connections with people because you also really love men.
I do really love men.
And you'll speak to people of all ages.
Yeah. So yeah, I want to do more of that. And then, so I'm planning little things. Like I'll do it, like obviously we'll have the October show or September show. So fall show for sure. How long do you think we'll be able to do this?
God, she's planning the 2026 shows, you guys. She's planning 2026 right now.
Jeff is like, how long is this gonna go for? I'm like, however long they can friggin' keep coming to see me. Like, yeah. Taylor Swift was like, I'm gonna keep singing until you guys stop saying, okay, keep singing. And that was like her friggin' documentary of like years ago. And now she's crushing it. She's like, look at me. Like literally crushing it. Well, yeah. So just thank you for letting me be me. I am a lot.
I think you're amazing. I think this show is the most you of everything. There was like a moment where I forget what I asked you. We were like, just let me be me.
Yeah, this is me prepping her to let me be me. I'm like, just please let me be me, okay? So I might be in the crowd and I might not follow the script, but like this is the once a year where I can just have a microphone and just be funny and have fun and dance and sing. Oh man, I love it so much.
But a big part of the show is making fun of you for being you. So we need you to keep being you so we can make fun of you and laugh.
Yes. Okay, perfect. Check, done. I accept. Okay, so what basically brought this conversation on, you guys, is where I get my news on People Magazine.
Hot news.
Hot topics. So I follow People Magazine and on Instagram, and this is pretty much where I get what the I don't want to say important people in the world, but the celebrities and what they're doing. However, different things. So this is not celebrity related. It says, do you need to discuss your child's weight with your pediatrician? What the experts say.
Mm.
Yes. And I was like, oh, let's discuss this. And I just gave my opinion. And then a few people definitely chimed in. So I do think that there's a little reaction coming from people because obviously they know that I dealt with obesity as a child or as a teenager.
Yeah.
It's like, how did your parents do it? And, you know, I said this quite clearly, Alicia, in my stories. What my parents did in 2020, like we can't be like, oh, well, because they did this with Jose, she turned out great. You know what I mean? She lost her weight. She has a good relationship with food. She like helps people now, whatever. Oh, well, then their method worked. I actually don't think, honestly, even in parenthood, that there's like a method that works with parenting because you're parenting a different child every single time and like different child, like the way they react, the way they take things, the way they comprehend, the way their emotions, everything is so different. So like, there's not one method of parenting or there's no one thing that I can say that's like, this is what you should do, you know?
I couldn't agree more. And people, people ask me as well,
Right.
for advice. And I always preface it with like, you're the mom, like, your kid best.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's just because I do it this way, or I speak to my kids this way, or I would approach it this way is not because it's the right way. Like,
Yes, there is no right or wrong way.
I
I
like that.
Yeah, there ever, because it's not me to say that, oh, because I wouldn't do it that way, you're wrong, I'm right. Like I just don't like that for anything. And I do believe that if we all just focused more on making sure that we are connected with our best selves, like as the mom, as a human, and that our intentions and our tone and our environment always provides what the child needs to feel secure, loved, whatever. I think that's enough. Honestly, I truly believe that's enough. I think that sometimes we're so like invested in our opinion and our way that we think that we almost put a burden on ourselves that like, oh, and then I see these people do that. And then I'm like, fuck the other people. Like, who cares? You know, I was talking to someone who was a nurse and she's like, oh, as a nurse, I would see these, I would kind of judge the parents if their kid, whatever. So I was like, that's, for me, that's not okay. I'm like, like, I think that like I never judge whatever a person's doing with their child in regards to even their weight, or if I see something, I'm like, everyone's just doing their best. And I need to focus my energy because there's not a lot of it. I mean, maybe there is a lot of it because I have a lot of energy, but you get what I mean? Energy and time in myself, in my environment, with I don't have any, even if I have an opinion, j'ai aucun droit. Like I have no right to like say what my opinion is or in regards to how you raise your child. Like I think that's really another important message here.
Yeah, you do you. And when you judge someone else, you're actually sending yourself that message that there is a right and a wrong way.
Yeah.
And so that will bleed into your own life. Like if you judge others, you will judge yourself.
Yeah.
And so one of the easiest things you can do to kind of like relieve that is to stop judging others, which is actually not easy. And we talked about the same thing when it was like talking shit about your own body.
Yeah.
And it's like, step one is to stop talking shit about other people's bodies. Then you can work on your own because that will bleed in. So really realizing that when you're judging other people the way they're parenting, that will eventually, you will also start judging your own parenting. You will feel guilt and shame about choices you are making that maybe aren't traditionally or what society would deem as like the right choice.
1,000,000%. Yeah. Okay. So let's go to the question, I guess. Would you allow the doctor, the pediatrician, to speak to your child about their weight? If we were to just like, that is the question, what would you answer to that?
I'm going to say no right away.
Same. I'm no as well. So
maybe it's my control.
I mean, maybe it is. Yeah.
I think, would I ever ask the support of a pediatrician about my child's weight? Maybe, but it would be like me that was like, I need this or I would like that.
I need support, not my, yeah. Yes, 1,000,000%. So we're all on the same page. I think that also like the pediatrician, the doctor, like, and also like people are like, they need to be recommended to blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, how long is this going to take? Like for you to see a child psychologist and then like for you to have an appointment to see these people and then for them to actually create change in their lives, like that is like massive. No, this shit takes time. So I think that the biggest bang for your buck is for you to educate yourself, to work on yourself, to model, to practice what you're about to preach your kids. I think that like sometimes we say things to our children, but then if we really think about, we wouldn't like, we don't really behave in that way. So like, who am I to say to Dia, she should do her bed when I don't do my bed? You know what I mean? So like, I think it's really important to check in with yourself. And then also not think just like you judging another family or another mom, don't judge your kid for how they behave because you wouldn't behave that way. Because then you're still saying, I'm right, you're wrong. I'm better. My way's best, blah, blah, blah. I think it's just, we really need to, I'm modeling the way it makes me feel, the way I show up. And some people are really bothered by their friends, their spouse, their children, their parents, whatever, on what they're doing and how they're eating. And they're like, what do I say? Nothing. You say nothing. That is none of your business. Like, that's really how I feel. I'm like, just you show up because life is about you. And my life is about you.
And it's hard enough to just deal with your own, let alone. It is not your job to be in charge of everyone else. But as a mother, it is your job.
Yeah, you're right.
And I think you genuinely want to. I think when it comes to, you know, kids and their weight, I think one thing, I mean, just kids in general, for me, top priority is that my children feel comfortable having conversations with me.
Yeah, of course.
That's the environment that I want to facilitate, that if they are feeling a certain way, they can come to me and know that I won't judge them. I won't tell them that those emotions are not valid. Like, I really want to create that safe place, because if your child is struggling, we want them to have those conversations with us.
Exactly. And okay, so where I was going with the doctor is that, first of all, your doctor doesn't know your child. So like for them to have a conversation about their weight, like it's just like, it's a stranger. It's a stranger pretty much judging or giving it's a negative vibe. I think tone, environment, intention is so important when having that conversation. And I really think it should be at one point the child that brings up, or you can tell, like sometimes they're like, I know it bothers them. I'm like, did they tell you? Or it bothers you? Like, you know what I mean? Like, did they tell you? Like, hello, mom, I'm really bothered by my belly or my weight, or like, I feel different, whatever. And I only had that moment with my parents at 13, where I was like, say more, hello, I'd like to lose weight now. These are the reasons why. And can I have your help? And so I think then it's like, that's also a different conversation. What do you say? Do you say, no, you're fine? Do you say, like, tons of people are like, oh, my child told me this. What do I say? I'm like, oh, that's tough. Like, you need to know your child. You need to, and like my parents guided me to fucking diet culture. Still, I figured it out. You know what I mean? But they guided me to diet culture. That's what we had. That's what we had access to. So I think that that's what my mom had access to. That's what she knew. Same for you. I would say your mom also was a part of diet culture, just like, you know, all of our moms. But there's still room at the end. Like, you're not ruining your child because you're doing so. I think it's important to like realize that at one point, however, it is your child or your adult child to figure shit out if they want to change their life, and you didn't like fuck them up forever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like you do your best. You have the proper conversations and reactions. However, just like Alicia said, I think that, let's say your child comes to you and is like, I feel this way in my body, like whether it's in regards to like, maybe they're homosexual and they're telling you like, I feel this way about boys and girls. Would you be like, no, you're fine. Like, no, that's not how you feel. Like, no, you'd be listening. It's the same for weight loss. I do believe, however, that it starts with the parent. If the parent is uncomfortable talking about weight loss or their bodies because they're not comfortable in their own skin and their own life and weight, that's going to be a hard conversation to have with your kids. So I think at the end of the day, must they work with you, like you.
And so many people don't have the tools or knowledge still to help their children facilitate a healthy relationship with food and weight loss
Because
in a
they
way
don't
that
have
is
that.
not dieting. You
Yeah.
know, like, so like, if someone, like, so many people would be like, okay, right, you want to lose weight, right, okay, we're cutting out all the junk. That's like immediately, you know, and we all know that's not going to work, especially as a kid. Like, talk about, we need to meet them where they're at. Like, if your child wants to lose weight, please don't put them on a diet, but
Mm.
please also do not ignore that they want to lose weight.
Yeah.
Like, there's an other option.
Yes. And maybe if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't have the answers, like maybe you haven't been a part of your weight loss, so you haven't really worked on your own food freedom, relationship with food, calorie, even understand calorie deficit, or how is it possible to lose weight without being on a diet? Some people do not know what the
No.
steps are. They don't know what the steps are. They literally are, we're going to cut out junk, just like you said.
Yeah.
That's a great example. And so if you're like listening to this and you're like, I listen to these girls, I listen to content, but I don't know if I am really living that type of approach to food, weight, whatever. Please know that like it's okay to say to your child, thank you so much for coming to me to say that. Let me look into how I can help you. Make sure we do this right. Make sure we you know, that we feel like it's something that you want to do, and just like let time almost pass so that it's like, can you explain to me why you want to lose weight? Is there anything that happened? Is there anything that was said? Because someone just asked me actually in my DMs, was like, was there a negative comment? Was there a like click? You're like, that's it, I want to lose weight. And I was like, there really wasn't. Like, I mean, have I had things said to me? Of course. Now, do I want to say like, for sure, kids make fun of me, all that. But pour moi, when I think of me saying to my mom, like, I want to lose weight, it came down to like, I feel like shit. Like, I do not like where I'm at. And I want things in life that I feel like this body is just not the right one for me. Like, it was really, maybe it's a mature thing. I don't know. But for me, Steph, and I'm also like, yes, of course, the boys made fun of me and there were things that were said. My brother as well. Like, you know, my brother, clearly there were comments. He was 4 years older than me. He's 17 and I'm 13. So you can just imagine like the comments of like, yeah, well, with Josie, I still remember that. And I laughed at that time. Was it hurtful? Yes. But can I say like I needed to heal and there was trauma? No, almost like, it's like I was very aware.
Was
But
your brother overweight as a child?
not as much. It just started a little later.
Okay.
Just started a little later, but he's never been like overweight to the point where I was overweight. Like, there was never obesity involved, but he was definitely chubby. So we were at the restaurant and he like finished his supper and we were like the whole family and whole family, extended family, cousins, aunts, whatever. We're at Pizza Delight. I'll always remember it. And someone made a comment like, my God, like you guys eat fast. He's like, when Joe's in the house, you got to eat fast or you don't eat. And I remember everyone laughed. I remember I laughed. I still remember the comment. So clearly there's something about that one thing that he said. There's a few things that I'm like, I remember that. I remember that. Did it change my path to wanting to lose weight? I think it was like 80% me, 20% like the awareness around it. But I'm someone that's like, I'm okay with talking about the things. Like, I'm okay with talking about the things that was rude, but at the same time, he said what he said. Like, I don't know. Not that I don't take it personally, but I take it personally because I'm like, I see it, but it's just like an accumulation. I think it's just an accumulation of like feelings and comments for sure, but also how I feel about my body, you know? And also like not being a victim, being like, I want this. I think I can really, this is not who I want to be. And like, there's a big part of that. That was a part of my story as well.
I really love the message, the like underlying message here that I feel like, guys, if your kids come to you and they want change, like Jose said, if they came to you and were talking about their sexuality, or if they came to you and they were like, Mom, I'm really struggling in school. I feel like I can't read as well as the others. You wouldn't be like, you're fine. It's going to be fine. Like, please take the time to acknowledge and don't feel like you need to fix everything. And it's not going to be fixed. There's no such thing as fixing, but could we like change the trajectory a little bit? Can we work on the path? Can we have meaningful conversations? Can we equip our children with the knowledge and the tools and the resources for them to be successful? Yes.
Yes, 1,000,000%. I think we could all do better. we can all do better as parents. Like, there's always like, oh, I could have said that. That could have been different. But like you said, what you said, like we cannot live this way. There's not one parent that says always saying the perfect thing at the perfect time to the perfect child. We don't know. We don't know what we're doing and the effects it has. We just know what we know in the moment, doing our best and what feels right. And we just want to have, like you said, I think the only thing that we're really in control of is safe space, just safe space, of having the conversations and then kind of going through it. But if weight and weight gain and weight management and calorie deficit and food is not a safe space inside your own heart and inside your own mind, it's not something that you always push it away. You always never, bad. That's what you're going to do when your child brings it up, So that's your trauma coming up. If your child talks about food, talks about weight loss, talks about their weight, talks about their bodies, and you're feeling all icky inside, that is on you. That is, that's something that you're like, oh, I have something to deal with here. And you're right. You do have something to deal with and you deserve to deal with that. And I think that is the best way to be equipped for dealing with your child's emotions. If you can't deal with your own emotions in regards to food and weight gain and weight loss, it's going to be really hard to be able to provide the proper perspective to your child.
And at the end of the day, the one conversation with the pediatrician is, I'm sorry, nothing. Like, even when I go back to, Alfie's diagnosis with dyslexia, like that moment where I'm having that conversation with that psychologist and she gives me a piece of paper that says like, hey, your kid has dyslexia, literally means nothing. Now I need to go into our life and I need to create a system and resources and habits to support that. That's what I needed to do.
And to support Alfie.
Exactly.
Which Alfie is different than another kid with dyslexia that you're going to support differently.
So true. So true.
Yeah. So you're like, okay, Alfie has that, but Alfie is also very calm, very this, very that. You know what I mean? Like, so, okay, how can I support him? Don't want to make him feel overwhelmed. Whereas another kid might be able to handle more, so it's like so important. Just a diagnosis doesn't mean, oh, this is the route at all, because there's a human behind that diagnosis. So that's why it's so important to not be blinded by the diagnosis, but behaviors and what fits right their way. Yeah.
It's a thing. It's a real thing.
It's a real thing. Okay, this was a great conversation. At the end of the day, no judgment on any piece. Like, moi, je suis tout le temps comme, hey, t'as fait ton mieux. And I always see that the value in adjusting, the value in the next choice, the value in the next conversation, the value in apologizing, open conversations. I think that that's how we change the trajectory. There's not one thing you said to your kid and you ruined him for life. Just FYI, everyone. Okay. So like, look at the one thing my brother said. It's not that like, there's nothing, it didn't change anything. So I think that it's like the accumulation and it's the openness to everything and just multiple choices over and over. When the message is being said over and over, that creates more damage, I guess, just like anything else. Hit the same thing over and over, hit the same thing over and over. There's more damage than if you hit it once. So
exactly. And our DMs are always open, guys. So if you want to unpack more of this, chat with us about this, send us a message.
All right. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.
Bye.